We are officially halfway in the NASCAR Cup Series regular season of 2021, and Hendrick Motorsports sent a message across the NASCAR Cup garage that they came here to play and that they are going to be a threat for not only the playoffs, but for the championship later in the year at Phoenix in November. Because they put on a whooping today like we haven't seen in quite some time. So let's start off at the beginning. 3 drivers had to start at the rear. Chase Elliott, which I feel like as of late, Chase Elliott has to start a lot in the rear of the field these past few races. Ryan Newman as well as Josh Berry, who replaced Justin Haley after he contracted COVID-19. Now this race was typical Dover. Track position was super important. If you're out in front, it was really tough for you to get by a bad driver, especially with this Gen 6 car and just how it was built when it's very aero sensitive. The small spoiler, big horsepower, it helped a lot in terms of the racing perspective. Seeing the cars actually drive, and slipping and sliding around was really cool to see. But there's not as much passing or battles going on like what we saw at Darlington last weekend. So stage 1, top 3 was Truex, Larson, and Byron. Lap 16, Larson jumps up to first very quickly. We expected that from a guy like Larson. He has run really well at Dover. He has had the best average finish there, I believe 7.7 something. So it was not surprising to see him run very well and grab the lead early. However, it was not a fun night for Kyle Busch fans. Won at Kansas 2 weeks ago, but fortunately was already, I think 20, 25 or 30 laps into it, already was having trouble. Listen to this.
Forward up. Yep. Going home, boys. Back it up. Yeah, I hear you. Make sure you got all your switches where you need. Recycle it if you need. No smoke yet. Where your 10? 275, 300.
So yeah, more issues for Kyle Busch in 2021, even with the win still. Just these past few races, even this year as well as last year, it's just not gone Kyle Busch's way at all. Now, there were some drivers that were reporting brake issues, like Michael McDowell and William Byron, who was leading at that time, I believe. They were both reporting brake issues as the brake pedal would go all the way down to the floor. Now, the main reason why is, and I think Larry Mack pointed out in the broadcast, was that teams were being very aggressive with tape. Obviously, if you put tape on the grill of the car, it makes the engine run a bit hotter, makes it go faster. Well, if you put it in front of the brakes, it could cause the brakes to get hot, and when that happens, they start to become less effective. So you need to find a way to cool them down. Larry Mack made a suggestion that they would add fans to the brakes of the car in order to help it cool it down. Now, Byron would have these issues, I believe, for the entirety of the race, if not at least until the end of stage 2, but I don't think it would really play a factor at all. He still had a really fast car regardless, but it was just another little hiccup, I guess you could say, during the race for the 2014. Now, Kyle Larson would restart the race after a competition caution. Nothing would happen up until the final lap of stage number 1, where right in front of the leader, Chase Briscoe drives into turn 1. Don't know if he just got loose or cut a tire, but he smacks it into the wall to bring out the caution and will ultimately bring stage 1 coming to an end under yellow. So Larson wins, Hamlin in second, Blaney third. How about Chase Elliott in 4th place? What a run for the 9 team. Remember, he started at the rear. Former winner here, won here back in 2018 in the fall. So he knows how to get the job done at the Monster Mile, but it was still quite impressive to see him drive his way through the field for a 4th place finish in stage number 1. 5th, Kevin Harvick. 6th, William Byron. 7th, Logano. 8th, Bowman. Buescher was 9th, I should say, and Brad Keselowski in 10th. You notice Martin Truex Jr. is nowhere in the top 10. That's because after the pit stop, after the stage 1 concluded, pit stops took place, and you saw Martin Truex Jr., the hood was up on the 19 car. Don't know what the problem was. The broadcast, I'm pretty sure, never even mentioned it, but there was damage to the front end of Truex's car. Again, don't know where it came from, don't know how he got it, but it seemed as though very early on, as soon as he lost the lead, kind of similar to Brad Keselowski at Darlington, as soon as Truex lost the lead, he lost everything and was nowhere near a factor. Stage 2 is pretty quick. You began with Larson leading, and right behind him was his Hendrick teammate Chase Elliott. Now, Elliott was not able to challenge Larson, but he was pretty content running in second place. Larson had a comfortable lead. There wasn't any, real worrying about them battling. You could tell Larson clearly, in my opinion, had a faster car. Yeah, Elliott made some ground, but Larson clearly had just an overall better car than Elliott. There was one moment when a caution came out for Josh Berry, who hit the wall, and Blaney pitted, came onto pit road, when the caution came out. So pit road was closed. He was not allowed to come on a pit road. The reason why he did, though, was because due to an earlier incident. Remember, when Chase Briscoe hit the wall, it sent debris scattering everywhere at the racetrack. And apparently Ryan Blaney ran over that debris in the right front brake and caused damage to it. And so as a result of that, they decided to pit when pit road was closed, and they would restart 19th, the final car on the lead lap. Which sucked because they were running 4th, I believe, at that time. Anyways, it was around stage 2 when Hendrick Motorsports started to dominate. And not just Larson. Stage 1 was definitely Larson near the first half. Then, second half, Chase Elliott started to, show some speed. Byron, clearly, he led the first few laps. He had speed as well. Bowman, though, was there. They were working on the car the entire race. He was starting to come about, but he clearly, at least it didn't seem at first, that he was going to be a factor for the win. It seemed like, okay, he's going to have a solid top 5, run. He had a really good car, but not a race-winning car, it seemed. And it showed because stage 2, all 4 Hendrick drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Larson, Elliott, Bowman, and Byron. 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, it seemed as though only Larson or Elliott would have a factor, or at least play a role in who would win this race. Then you had Hamlin 5th, Harvick 6th, Kurt Busch 7th, Brad Keselowski 8th, Austin Dillon 9th, and Tyler Reddick the top 10. A couple moments actually happened in stage number 3. For the penultimate caution on lap 302, Aric Almirola cuts a right front tire and hits the wall extremely hard to bring out the caution. It would end up catching in flames, the right front. When Aric Almirola came out of the car, you saw he came out pretty gingerly. You could tell that he, it knocked the wind out of him. And it's just another race on a whole list of incidents or issues for Aric Almirola and for really Stewart-Haas Racing as a whole, but for specifically Aric Almirola, because I think that team is 28th or something like that in the standings. I mean, they have had a horrible season. I think the only good thing so far that has happened to them was when they won the dual races at Daytona. I think it was dual race number 1. That's it. Since then, they have shown no positives. Now, after that caution came out, we had pit stops once again. And you've heard the phrase, sometimes winning can be won or lost on pit road. Well, the 48 team on pit road came to play. They had one of the fastest and most consistent stops all race long. And with 93 to go, or at least around that time, it mattered the most. They came onto pit road. They got Alex Bowman out first on pit road ahead of Larson and Elliott, and he would have the lead when we got back to racing with 93 to go. And then once again, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets involved in other drivers' problems. Going into number 2, I don't know what he did, or why he did this, but he just straight up dumped Anthony Alfredo. Almost got Brad Keselowski involved. Luckily, no one else hit Alfredo. Alfredo did get into the right side of Stenhouse's car, but that was basically it. That would end up being the final or the second to last caution of the race. After that, only 8 drivers stayed out on pit road. All 4 Hendrick drivers, Harvick, Suarez, Reddick, and Wallace. Everyone else came onto pit road. Everyone else came onto pit road, like Hamlin and those guys that also had really strong cars. And at first it seemed as though, oh god, they're just going to eat these guys up. When you have fresher tires at a track like Dover, which has been known to, have a lot of fall off. I thought at first, oh god, Toyota's going to win this race. Hamlin's going to win, or Logano or Harvick, they're going to end up being the leaders. And Hendrick is just going to fall back to maybe 10th or 12th spot. But they actually held their ground. In fact, all 8-9 drivers held their ground. Even drivers like Suarez and Wallace, who were literally, I think, 8th or 9th, right in front of Hamlin and Harvick and all the drivers that pitted for fresher tires, they were able to hold their ground pretty well. This final caution would come out for debris with 73 to go. Then you had, I think, only 4 or 5 drivers come onto pit road again. One of them was Joey Logano. The rest stayed out. And once the restart came out, there was really no other challenge. No battles for positions, really. The field sort of spread out. You did have Joey Logano, who on fresher tires, storming his way through the field. I think he started 19th or 20th, I could be wrong, somewhere around that range, but he slowly but surely started to blow by everyone through the field, and it looked like as though if there were more laps, he could have potentially been a factor, and if he could have gotten a caution, could have had a shot at winning, but fortunately it was not meant to be for him. But Alex Bowman was able to hold his ground, hold off Kyle Larson, and able to build up a gap to win for the second time in 2021, score his first win at Dover. And this is a cool little stat. brings home, I think, the 12th victory for the number 48 team at Dover. We all know the 48 and Dover are synonymous with Jimmy Johnson winning. Johnson won there 11 times. And then Alex Bowman adds on to that legacy for the 12th win for the number 48 team at Dover. Now, another cool stat about this is that look who finished second, third, and fourth. Second, Larson. Third, Elliott. Fourth, William Byron. For the first time in its history, Hendrick Motorsports finishes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for the first time since Homestead 2005 from Roush Fenway, an organization has finished 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's an incredible stat from Hendrick Motorsports. Like I said, they absolutely obliterated the field. They led all but 18 laps. Granted, Chase Elliott didn't lead a single lap. Bowman led laps, Larson led laps as well as William Byron. Elliott didn't lead any laps. But still, they were 1, 2, 3, 4 HMS for I believe half of the race. Or close to half of the race. That's how dominant they were. I mean, when we took a look at the lap leaders, Kyle Larson, 263 laps. Alex Bowman, 97. Byron, 21. Then you had Toyota drivers, JGR teammates, Truex with 16 and Hamlin with 2. I mean, it was unbelievable how dominating Hendrick was. Which is kind of funny when you consider the fact that when we began the season, or, I believe around 2020, when we started the season in 2020, a lot of people were looking at Hendrick as potentially the new Roush Fenway. A lot of people were saying, oh man, look at the drivers they're having. They're not running well. They're not winning. People looked at Hendrick and thought that they were in deep, deep trouble, which I didn't think so. I mean, I didn't think they were in trouble. They just needed to get the right people around them, and Chevy needed to get their act together. And I think they did. I think with Chevy upping their game up, with, collaborating with teams, especially with HMS and RCR teaming up with the engine department. I also think Chad Knaus taking a step back and, overseeing everything in the shop in Charlotte, North Carolina at the HMS shop. I think that played a big role into how dominating and how successful Hendrick Motorsports has been this season, because it's not like it's one team or one or two teams that are winning races. You look at Hendrick Motorsports in the past, and it always seemed as though one or two teams were winning while the other two were just there. And this time in 2021, all four are out there running strong. Yes, Chase Elliott has not won a race, but still, he's close. He's had strong moments. He's really fast, has had a lot of good runs. All four drivers are running really, really strong. And the fact that they were so dominant at a track like Dover, where they just smacked the field, I think that sends a very dangerous message to the entire garage. With 13 races up until the regular season, Larson now, even though he's only won one race, he should have, I think, 3 or 4 races. We know he's going to be a factor potentially for the championship 4. William Byron, for his 11th straight top 10 finish. I mean, he is very consistent. He's going to be a strong contender for the playoffs. Alex Bowman now, him having this second win, leading 93 laps. Who knows? He could also play a factor for the championship 4. And then, of course, you have the defending champion, Chase Elliott. Even though he has not won a race, look at the tracks we're heading up. We're going to COTA next week. We're going to Road America, the Indy Road Course. There's a lot of tracks that play into Chase Elliott's style. So these next few races are going to be very interesting to watch from a Hendrick Motorsports perspective. Anyways, let's take a look at the results. I already told you about the top 4. Joey Logano was able to use those fresh tires. He had a new crew chief this weekend, an interim crew chief this weekend. Also had to overcome issues with damage from debris earlier in the race. Was able to end up finishing in 5th. Kevin Harvick continuing to hold SHR on his back. Solid top 10 run the entire race, coming home in 6th. 7th was Hamlin. 8th, Tyler Reddick. 9th, Daniel Suarez and Cole Custer rounds out the top 10. Very strong effort from those 3 drivers. Bubba Wallace in 11th place. That is the team's, and it's kind of shocking, 13 races in, and that is the team's first top 15 finish. He nearly had a top 10, but that is the team's first top 15 finish. And I just want to say something to the people out there that are that like to crap on Mike Wheeler. You got to give him credit on this one. Yes, he made a dumb call at Phoenix by having him stay out. But this weekend, he made a good call having Wallace stay out because I'm pretty sure if they hadn't come off for tires, he probably would have finished 17th or 18th. So 11th place finish, good run for that 23 team. 12th is his best bud, Ryan Blaney. 13th, Kurt Busch. 14th, Austin Dillon. 15th, Ross Chastain. Keselowski, Buescher, Priest, Truex Jr. Like I said, as soon as he lost the lead, Well, he just lost it, finishing in the 19th position, I think 1 or 2 laps down. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. rounds out the top 20. And here are the other notables. You have Christopher Bell, 21st. He was just off the entire race. I have no idea why, but he was just really bad. 22nd, Newman. 23rd, DiBenedetto. Kyle Busch, 27th. For having the engine issues that he had, and they were able to fix it, but by that point in time, he was 7 laps down. For all the problems, I think, you can look back, 27th place. Come on. They were, 35th, 36th the entire time to rally back to a 27th position. Yeah, it still sucks, but hey, what are you going to do? Yeah, you'd take it. I would take a 27th place finish for the day that they had. I'd take it. And then you see the other 2 drivers, SHR drivers, Chase Briscoe and Eric Almirola, 35th and 37th. My thoughts on this race overall, I give it maybe 6 out of 10. Again, I really enjoyed how hard the drivers were racing, how it was really fun seeing them slip inside around. But there wasn't as many battles as it was last weekend at Dover. It was a pretty spread out event, which is typical for a track like Dover, especially as of late. We're used to seeing cars spread out, get into these long green flag runs. Them not being able to challenge each other, just race their own race, so to speak. So I'm not surprised at the type of race that we saw, but I am surprised by just how dominating Hendrick was. I still can't believe it on how dominating they was, because we have to understand what the situation they were at 2 years ago, and to go from that to the team to beat. I mean, think about it. JGR was the team to beat 2 years ago, and now it seems like Hendrick is a team to beat in 2021. It's weird how NASCAR works sometimes, but overall, it was a meh race. Obviously, as a Hendrick fan, I enjoyed seeing all 4 of those drivers up front and leading for all but 18 laps. It was really fun to see as a Hendrick fan. Maybe not as much of a fan for, let's say, a JGR fan or for, especially for an SHR fan. But I will give credit to the fans, especially this one guy, a Kyle Busch fan. He stole the show, in my opinion. I mean, I know Alex Bowman won, but I got to give credit to this man. I mean, he stole the show. Him in the Kyle Busch suit, even doing the bow at one point, that was hilarious. It was really cool seeing the fans out at the racetrack. I forgot exactly how much was in capacity, but it was really cool just seeing a lot of fans out there. I know in Charlotte in 2 weeks is full capacity. Very excited for that. It's really cool to see not only sports, but really just life in general starting to get back to normal. Now, next weekend is COTA. But before we do that, let's take a look at what the playoff grid looks like heading into Circuit of the Americas. No real change here, except Alex Bowman earns 5 extra playoff points, jumps to 3rd in the playoff grid. Martin Truex Jr. 18, Larson 11, Bowman 10. Truex and Bowman are the only drivers in the Cup Series to go to victory lane more than once. Then you see Denny Hamlin plus 293, Elliott plus 151, Harvick 146. Tyler Reddick gains 17 points ahead of Matt DiBenedetto. Kurt Busch jumps from 20th to 18th in the standings with his 13th place finish, still 30 points behind. But yeah, next weekend is COTA. I am super excited for that. I can't wait to see how the Cup drivers do there in Austin, Texas. And yeah, that's it for this episode of Inside the Lines Victory Stop. Guys, tell me in the comment section down below what are your thoughts on this race. Did you like it? Did you not? What do you think about Hendrick Motorsports? Do you think they're going to be dominating into the playoffs, or do you think could they be peaking too early? Love to hear your thoughts on that. But until next time, my name is Jett from MDK, and I'll see y'all next time.